And what we're going to talk about today is what are some of the fundamentals a retail team can think about when establishing the CRM. We have a message. When we're establishing a CRM team. So at the same time, it's a fantastic adventure, right? Because now with loyalty cards, technology, it's possible to start understanding the customer better. And at the same time, it's not easy because we do not always know what to do. We can very quickly make a complex story, or sometimes we want to go a little bit too fast and go from little usage of the loyalty data to a super advanced usage of the loyalty data. So we're going to try to give you some best practices or experience and share what are some of the things that you can do to make it happen. One important thing is the focus of this presentation is mostly in B2C. Knowing that in B2B, there might be some specificity. So this is important to bear it in mind. And the thing which is important is to look at, in the long run, the ROI, or the return on investment and cost efficiencies we can drive from CRM. I was discussing yesterday with a client in Tunisia. I was with my colleague Frederick. And he was telling us that the usual advertising methodologies, communication through mailers, catalogs, had a price increase of 25% because of ink, because of transportation, because of distribution. So all are the factors that are making it super important from a cost perspective to a better understanding of people who are really asking for more individualism. All those components make CRM really important. So the objective that we set up with the team here, and thank you very much for all the people, Kunbi, Frederick, on the Hypertrade side that helped build that workshop, was first of all to make sure that the benefits of the CRM, when we look at them from a retailer perspective, are not only limited to marketing team. Now, what we're going to try to show you is how this CRM insights can really help almost all the business unit in the company. Then once we've understood all this, once we have understood all these benefits, we're going to step back a little bit and talk about the fundamentals of segmentation. Our goal here, once again, is not to be sharing rocket science findings or complicated statistics algorithm, but to look at what are some of the simple fundamentals we can implement in our customer segmentation. Then, of course, we're going to look at what are the actions that we can take, whether this is at the marketing level, at the store level, at the merchandise level, with the insight. Meaning that once we understand those inside the segmentation, we understand that there will be a certain number of flows of information that we can circulate inside the organization. So if we want to establish the CRM as a business unit, whether depending on marketing or any other places in the organization, we're also going to look at what are some of the simple, efficient, action-oriented routine we can look at, and what are the simple indicators we want to measure so we are always on track on what's happening. And once we've done that, we will step back a little bit and look quickly about how CRM can specifically help us in terms of promotion, and how it can help us in terms of personalization. Of course, when you have questions, please either you can interrupt me or you can drop your questions into the chat box, and our fantastic Mr. Ter is going to make sure that all the comments and suggestions are being taken. Okay, how are we going to do this? We are going to introduce CRM. We're going to go through segmentations. We're going to look at what are the insights and for which teams CRM can generate. We're going to talk about those routines. We're going to talk about promo and personalization, as I just mentioned. Let's look first at the very, I think, important message is to make sure that we all understand CRM. The insights we capture from loyalty data are not limited in terms of usage to the marketing team. Why is that? The thing is, at the end, when we look at the end goal of CRM, what do we want to do? We want to make sure that it helps us have customers visit us, visit more often, come to discover. We want to make sure that CRM is going to help our shopper spend more. Means like they will have maybe they spend more quantities of similar item, maybe they spend more type of products. It means we have the right variety of products for them, and they discover more categories. We want them to enjoy. It means make sure that they are being treated as importantly as they should be based on their status. And we want to make their shopping easy. This one is online or offline. We want them to find easily the products. So when we look at those very simple objectives, it means that we have at least 4 types of teams that are concerned or that are responsible for making those things possible. Of course, we have operations. We start by that, and operations being, we can think about the operations at the people in the stores. We can think at the operation for people on the ground. We can also think about as operation, if you are an e-commerce or pure player, to think about how am I making it happen on the website. We are thinking about merchandise. Let's not forget that the main reason why we visit a store is because of its products. So we are always coming back to those very simple basics is, do I have the right product for the right customers in my store? We're talking about the people also who are taking care of making that offer visible and easy to shop. So that would be the people who do the space and display. That would be maybe the people in making the planograms and the adjustment in the stores. That also be the people who are building the pages and how their structures and how those categories are built and how is their agency articulated from cat to cat, from product to product, from brand to brand. And finally, of course, it's going to concern marketing, because the job of marketing is to make the people come or come back or come more often. So here really, I hope we conveying the message that CRM is not only for marketing, everybody, and we're going to see in practice how we can make it happen. And last but not least, we also want to make sure that CRM is a financial driver. It's a financial driver in terms of sales, because if I'm able to put the right product at the right place in the right quantity for the right customers, I'm going to sell much more. One thing that we again, talking about this client in Tunisia yesterday, and I think we can all relate to that, was I said, well, I do realize that even if we set up a quite advanced store clusterization process, we are still not here yet in terms of ensuring that the stores, each store offers the right assortment based on its catchment area. It's also going to have increased sales because we'll have more relevant categories. We're talking about some elements that maybe we don't need CRM, but they are still, to identify them, still quite representative. We might want to be selling more type of products depending on the surrounding of the stores and the cross-merchandising activities. We all do cross-merch, and sometimes the cross-merch is very well done, sometimes it's not well done. So CRM is going to help us there. We're thinking in terms of improving the cash flow, because if I have the right assortment to the right place, it means I avoid having the wrong assortment at the wrong place. That generates what? That's going to generate less inventory, higher stock turns, and increased customer lifetime value. We're talking about margin because we are thinking about optimizing our pricing based on our customer segment. And because we have higher stock rotations, we're going to have less breakage and less waste. And finally, in terms of ROI, it's much cheaper, as you know, in terms of acquisition cost to keep a customer than to capture a new one. I think we all know this, but from the moment we start to really calculate the acquisition cost, sometimes it comes as a shock. And also because we have the ability to target our offering. So instead of spreading out a lot of communication ads, well, we have the opportunity to propose relevant product, relevant offers to the relevant number of people. So this being said, I'd like to switch and go to the segmentation section. So the segmentation, whatever the segmentation, one thing which I believe is really important and maybe a shock for certain of us. Segmentation, remember the principle is we group customers according to a certain number of patterns. And that was not necessarily difficult. It can be a little bit complicated sometimes when we're putting a lot of criteria. We're going to look into this. But the thing is, as merchants, we don't have unlimited resource. So if there is one recommendation we can share with you guys is make sure that your segmentation, whatever the segmentation you're going to select, you're always going to focus on where the money is. It means that you, whatever the segment, you always will have a tiny part, maybe 10 to 15% of customers in that segment that represents 60% of the business. We really want to make sure you're going to focus on this. So what type of segmentation are available? Well, theoretically, you have an unlimited number of segmentation, right? You can segment by demographics, you can segment by time, which is quite interesting because, for example, if I can identify that my shoppers tend to buy fish generally on Tuesdays between 10 a.m. and 12 a.m., well, that's of course a very interesting information that I really want to benefit from. Money is a very important component of the segmentation. We can talk about how much people spend. We can talk about how much people generate margin. We can talk about the average value of what the people buy. We can look at how much they spend in a month and how much quantities. So that's important. We can talk about product, of course. What are the categories those people buy? What are the products that they buy in association with other products? This is going to help me making sure, coming back to our basics, that I have the right product with the right place. And I'm also can look at what the products that people never buy. What are the people that switch from one product to another product? I was discussing with a colleague in France, and that's interesting because, you know, they are starting in Europe to, as an example, right, to introduce insect-based protein products. So this is quite a big jump, whereas in other countries, eating insects protein is something which is pretty common. So it's important for them to identify what is the typology of the customers who positively answer to a protein switch. So that's an example to illustrate that. Of course, the geography, locations, and in terms of promotion, what we can also use as a segmentation basis would be to say, who are the customers by location, by category, by any of those other dimension are responsive to promotion and to what type of promotion. So what is important to know there is to think that segmentation is not something rigid. I might want to use some of them some of the time. I might want to use combination of some of them some of the time. As I was saying before, whatever the segmentation that I take, what is going to be really important is to make sure that I focus where the money is. History shows that even though we're talking about a super big share of a customer segment, say like, well, 50% of the customers that represent a very low level of sales, we can think that, well, yes, but this is 25,000 customers, and if I could make them increase their spending by 10, that would be fantastic. History shows that it's much easier to increase the purchase basket of the top 15 than the lowest 50%. So it doesn't prevent us from trying. It doesn't prevent us from making tests and pilots. But if we think from an ROI perspective, we will always make sure we focus there. Now, we at Hypertrade, we look at two main type of segmentation, whatever the criteria. We are going to look at what we call the fixed segmentation. So fixed segmentation means that we're going to create persona, and we are going to give a label. It means we are going to assign a persona to every single of our customers. So we can start by making simple persona, like I want to have the 3 persona, 4 persona, or I want to have a much more complex number of persona. Just remember, the higher the number of persona, the more complex it is to manage. And we're going to see in a few minutes how we can start building persona. Why do we want to, or when do we want to create this persona? We want to create this persona because we are going to keep that label to the shopper across a period of time of maybe 3 months, 6 months, 7 months. And we are going to work on different tests, different opportunities and trials in terms of assortment information, in terms of promotion. And we want to see how they improve. We also want to see how they shift, because imagine that I create 2 simple persona. As an example, I have the vegetarian persona and I have the non-vegetarian persona. So I defined my vegetarian persona, I define my non-vegetarian persona, and say, well, we want to see how consumer evolve. So it will be interesting to see that maybe across the time, the persona of vegetarian has increased by 15%, which of course is going to give me extremely useful information for my range, for my communication, for my positioning, for my value proposition globally. That fixed segmentation is also going to help me understand how my persona switch across my channel. So I think almost 100% of or 90% or 95% of retailers are omni-channel. So it means that every customer, whatever the persona, is receiving suggestions or receiving propositions to go buy certain type of product in certain channel. So I want to see how this is moving. And the last thing in terms of persona, whatever the persona we have, we of course want to segment them in terms of money. So it would be interesting to see persona by persona, what is the proportion of people who go from, I would say, spending between 0 and 10 to spending between 10 and 12, spending between 10 and 15 to spending between 15 and 17. So we want to monitor this evolution, not only because it's going to reflect the financial performance or challenges we are facing, but because this is going to continuously feed our marketing and merchandise team to make sure that we adapt our commercial offers, assortment, price, promotion, distribution to the evolution of our segment. Our recommendation of this is keep it simple. Before you guys are super involved and have a very high, very big, very large marketing team and extremely powerful marketing tool, keep it simple. The second type of segmentation, what we see, we call it ad hoc. What does it mean? It means that there are a certain number of events during the year. It means there will be, classical events like, I don't know, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Children's Day, back to school. And there will be, of course, in each country, in each region, a certain number of cultural events. So this ad hoc segmentation is going to help me fish across all the persona. Who are the shoppers that for that specific event are going to be interested with the special offers we are developing? So let's take a very simple example. This is back to school. So I want to make sure that I'm offering back to school products to, I would say, at least all the customers that I can identify as having purchased in the past children products. Sending back to school promotion to an old uncle or old auntie might maybe work, but the chances are lower, and therefore the return on investment will be a little bit different. So if I summarize this, what we want to say is that I have that fixed personnel, that fixed segmentation, and that doesn't prevent me to be agile, to be reactive, to have a merchant-driven approach to this ad hoc segmentation to address all the local events that are bringing the rhythm to our life across the year. In terms of segmentation, last but not least, is you have a certain number of very standard, classic, well-known type of segmentation. You will have the IFM, which, as you know, is mostly used to say, well, who are the customers who are on the way to lapse or who have been lapsing? So this one is very interesting to use it from an automation perspective. It means well, every time I see that, for example, the customer has not been shopping for us for a period of X time, I want to automatically send him either an email, an SMS, a voucher, I miss you note, or whatever. It will also help me identify who are the people that are critical for me. So, those can't lose them. So it means that this simple IFM analysis is an interesting point in order to create the foundations of a VIP club. There will be the cohort analysis. It means we're going to group the customers based on on similar patterns, how frequently they buy, how much they buy. So those are going to be pretty useful when we want to do kind of, first of all, commando operations. Like if I see that a category is in bad shape, then I'm going to use the cohort because I'm going to look at the people who stopped, for example, who stopped buying in that category and who were the biggest buyers. So maybe it's only going to concern 600 or 1,000 people, but I know they are the right one. The switch analyses are interesting. I was giving you an example, and they are, I think, all the more interesting when you think about your collaboration with suppliers. First, internally, the switch analysis is going to give you information about when you have a new type of product, when you have a new type of brands, you have a new type of category, a subcategory. You will be willing to measure who switch. Because the more people switch, the more it is interesting to say, well, this new brand, this new product, this new category is really interesting. Also going to be very interesting to see who is dropping from your market. So imagine that you have 600 customers who used to buy fruit vegetables with you, and they're still your customers, but since recently, they start buying fruit and vegetable. So this is an interesting alert and opportunity for us, merchandisers, marketers, store people, to look at, hey, what happened in those guys? So I'm going to look at what they used to buy. And maybe I'm going to look to see the fact that, I realized that maybe one of the products, one of the reasons why they stopped, it means they dropped out of our fruit and vegetable market, is because they used to buy the banana type A. And actually 5 months ago, when I look at the evolution of our range, we stopped the banana type A. So there are a high level of chances that the banana type A was the magnet that was bringing those guys to the fruit section of our stores. Last but not least, the switch analysis is going to help you propose joint offer with your suppliers. So the typical example is to say, well, let's talk about, I don't know, detergent. And you have a manufacturer A that says, guys, I'm launching this new detergent. It washes whiter than white. It smells better than best. And my key competitor is Omo. So I know that if I want to be successful with my new super detergent, I need to steal clients, consumers from Omo. Can you please tell me who, give me the list, or can we do a joint operation for a targeted offer where we're going to target the people who buy detergents, by Omo, and also our marketing research makes us believe that people who buy Omo and Softy Fabcon are the biggest targets. So I want to know who are those guys. So you're going to make that analysis. You're going to extract the customers that are relevant. You're going to make your campaign. Well, you will be interested to see who switch. So that's also another benefit of the switch analysis. Another one that is interesting to think about as a marketer or as a merchandiser is the never buy. So never buy, imagine a very simple example. We have a baby section, and in that baby section, we have diapers, we have shampoo, we have oil, we have talcum, we have wipers, we have nipples. I mean, we really have the whole range. And I realized that actually my wipes section is not really successful, but at the same time, my diaper is very successful. So I would be interested to have, if I would say 20 or 30% of my clients who buy diapers will also be able to buy wipes. Well, that would be a great benefit for the category. So I'm going to make a segmentation where I'm going to identify the clients who have been buying diapers for the last 6 months, for example. And I'm going to say, plus they never buy wipes. So here we'll have a list of super profile customers, and I'm maybe going to make them an offer they can't resist, or I will see if how they react, like buy 2-pack of diapers, get lifetime supply in wipes or whatever. So this is something which is quite interesting. And then of course you will in the terms of ad hoc segmentation, you will always have the freestyle. So which means that you're going to look at any single purchasing behavior that you have from your loyalty data, and you're going to create your filter, and you're going to be able to use it in any single case. So when we look at this, we are saying segmentation, we have permanent segmentation for persona, we have ad hoc segmentation for specific operations. The specific operation can be either marketing events, or they can be used as addressing a specific challenge in a specific category. Segmentation being said, let's talk about one of the strategical interest of CRM, and I'm going to take a little bit of water. Thank you. That strategic aspect of marketing is quite critical, actually, is that when you step back and I look at the traffic formula, at the retail formula, there are basically 2 main levers that I can play with if I want to grow my business. The first one is I want to have more traffic coming to the store, or for the traffic that is already in the store, more traffic going to specific category. This is one. And the other one is spending. So it means that I want to make sure that my customers can and will spend more. Ideally say, oh yes, but I want both. I want more traffic and I also want more spending. Yes, of course, we all want everything, and we want the moon on a silver plate. Now the thing is, it's in practice is a little bit difficult to do both. So I always need to have a key driver. And if I'm selecting the right one, that's going to work. But if my challenge is spending and I work on traffic, the chances for me to be successful are a little bit low, and the reverse is true. So how does this work? So the thing is, when we look at some of the challenges that we have and that marketing must address, we gather them into 3 main challenges. The first one is the lapsed shopper. So it's the churn. I was referring to it before. Those are the shoppers that used to shop with us and don't shop, either globally, it means that any category in the store, or in specific category. The second one will be the frequency, again, at the store level or at the category level. And of course, we want to make sure that we understand why, and we want to be able to stimulate them a little bit to come more often. And then we have the people who spend less at the global store level or at the category level. Again, we want to understand why, and we want to try to stimulate them. When we look at this, before we go further, we are saying, first, I need to be able to identify who is who. Certain shoppers would be lower frequency and overspending. Certain shoppers will be lower frequency. Certain shopper will be lower spending. So first is who's who. Second thing is why. And the why, as we will see, is very often a merchandising concern. So it means it's a question of availability. It's a question of variety. It's a question of price. It's a question of promotion attractivity. It can be a question of display. It means that in terms of layout, people don't see it. So the marketing, his job or their job, sorry, not his, their job is to identify who is who, what is the real challenge, and then propose to the merchandising team, hey guys, we are facing that challenge. Please check A, B, C, D, E, F to tell me what is this happening? Why is this happening? And B, set up a certain set of promotions and the right mechanic to make it work. So let's look a little bit at what are the different scenarios we can face here and how CRM can help us. The first thing is you can say, well, I don't need CRM to know this, and you're right, but you need to know CRM to know who's who. So what I'm going to share with you, or what I'm sharing with you now, means that we have the list of corresponding customers, so therefore this is actionable. First case is, well, my number of shopping is increasing, but my basket is stable. So the symptoms is more loyal shoppers are visiting the stores, but maybe their frequency is decreasing. What can I do? I would do a targeted promotion, and I will, among all those loyal shoppers, since I can identify them, I'm going to focus those one with a shopping frequency, and I will be able to send vouchers that say, for example, if you buy X today, you can have a voucher of this amount of money, and if you spend it before that period of time, then you will be able to benefit from that voucher. Another case could be my number of shoppers decrease, but the frequency increase and the number of baskets increase. So here it means I have less loyal shoppers, but their frequency increase. Same thing, I will target the guys with the corresponding to that one. It means the one that stopped buying, the lapsing shoppers. And here I'm going to try to understand why the lapse. Is it a question of choice? Remember the banana that disappeared? Is it a question of prices? Our prices are too high? Is it a question of not enough promotion compared to the past? And I have sometimes cases where all the indicators are not good. So in that case, when all the indicators are not good, it means and not good for all the type of shoppers. Those are the type of moments where maybe I want to switch to a mass promotion type. So this is just as an example of how we can make a diagnostics and look a little bit at what the situation. In practice, sorry. Okay. Here, the point which is where the CRM is really helping us is the ability to measure systematically the impact of any type of promotion in any case of scenario. Making the promo is fine. Creating the mechanics, whether this is targeted, non-targeted, is fine. Here, the key message that we really want to convey is that because you can follow up the behaviors of your shoppers after your action, it is critical that you follow it up through. And the follow-up through, it's not enough to go just say, okay, I did this type of operations, and out of my 100 lapsed shoppers, 7 came back. Wow, that's great. Well, yeah, this is great. Now, the things that you really want to make sure you follow is the 7 shoppers. Are they continuing shopping? Do they come back after that? And then this is why CRM is very much an R&D department. because we don't know, and there will be always different type of mechanics, different type of reasons, economical environment, but monitoring and following up the reaction, the answer of your shoppers after a promotion, not just after the promotion, but across a certain period of time, is really important. And of course, the key tool you're going to use this in order to identify this is your shopper decision tree. So here we have seen that how CRM can help us. I have a question. Do you have retail industry standard benchmark for retention chain? We don't have standards. The retention really depends on and like the CLV renewal rate. So making a few steps to answer the question. Most of the retail loyalty program have no renewal because they are free. So there is no renewal. It's you become a member, fine, you register online, you register at the counter. Nobody is going to ask you to pay anything for most of the market we're working with. So there is no renewal. Churn rates, we don't have standards, but I would say it's not rare to hear that depending on the period, the churn rate is between 7 to 8 to 9%. Now, just a little remark on the churn rate. The churn rate can be, say, for example, 9% during a certain period of time, and depending on how you define your churn rates, it can be 9 or it can be 15. So do we and this is a very important question, do we consider the churn rates as a customer who didn't buy for the last X months, or for the last X weeks, or for the last X years? And that always, there is no right or wrong answer, right? That's really some part of the fundamentals that you want to set up. CLV, the same thing. CLV depends on a lot of economies. So if let's take an example, if we take an average basket in Dubai, imagine that the basket is at $50. And then it makes sense that the basket in Kenya or in Uganda will be much lower. So I think what is important is maybe not the CLV, but it's the evolution of the CLV within your retail chain. And again, like this, I can integrate the specific attributes of the economic environment I'm involving in. My job is to grow the CLV up. I hope that can give you some ideas on how to work this. Now, we've seen how CRM can help marketing, help increase penetration and reduce the churn. Let's now look at how CRM can help the space and display and make it easier to shop. And that's actually pretty simple. The thing is, if we start from the concept that the best layout or the best web app or the best website is a website where shoppers visit every single category, right? So the idea is to say, well, how can I make sure that they visit all categories? Well, of course, that's a theoretical objective in the sense that we can't really practically do it. But we want them to have the opportunity, while following a certain logic, to visit as much as possible. So for here, we are using a very simple component, which is called cross-merchandising, a cross-purchase analysis. So let's look first at the adjacencies of our categories. I'm selecting a specific customer segment, and I'm going to look at one very simple thing is, what are the importance of categories that those guys purchase? And I'm going to look at the cross-purchase across those categories. So if I see that, for example, and this is true at the category level, this is true at the product level. If I see a very simple thing that, for example, people who buy cooking oil, the most purchased category with cooking oil is canned fish. Well, I'm going to make sure that there is a continuity in my customer flow about between oil and canned fish. And then that really much depends on the store format, right? Now, the second thing that I'm going to do is at the planogram level. If I see that within a category, right? If I see that the people who buy that we buy Coca-Cola, the second item that they buy most is fresh fruit juice. So I'm going to make sure that in my planogram, Coca-Cola is at the end of my carbonated section, and I will put the fruit juice as close as possible. If I'm really a perfectionist, and I'm going to look at in the fruit juice that are being purchased by the people who buy Coca-Cola, what is the first flavor that they buy? So they, oh, it's apricot. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that my fruit section, my fruit juice section is going to start with apricot. So here, this cross merchant, what we call cross category purchase information, is important to share with the category team at least, I don't know, at least once a year. For the big category, maybe twice a year, because they are going to think about how can they make shopping easier for the targeted customers by maybe adjusting the product's display. Category adjacencies, product display, and of course, the cross-merchandising thing, because this cross-purchase can be within the category, but they also can be across categories. So we can do the simple cross-merchandising without CRM. Is true as well. I guess people who enjoy a beer will also enjoy a snack. Is true. Now, if I think about people who buy that specific item, what is the most interesting item I can offer them? And if I come back into the collaboration aspect with my suppliers, the CRM is going to enable me to tell them, well, according to the behavior of our shoppers, the best location for your product is there. Because of course I can, with your CRM, you can work reverse. How by A buys B and B from B to A. So the second usage is, of course, space and display. The third usage of CRM is assortment, price, and promo. I'm coming back to the traffic issues. How can I know that my assortment is not correct or is not optimal? Well, the first thing, remember, we talked about it a little bit earlier. I have lapsing customers. So assortment is very often a very important reason into these lapsing customers. The second thing is the understanding of how my sales are evolving. So here with the CRM, it means really focusing on those guys that hold my loyalty card. I can see that my sales value is basically depending on two main variables, right? The number of people who buy and the value of what they buy. Now, if I look at the number of people who buy, there might be two reasons why that number is increasing or is decreasing. First reason is there more traffic at the store level. So that's fine. But what I really want to focus on is the penetration. It means out of the number of people who visit the stores, how many of them are really visiting that category? And this penetration evolution for my merchandising people, for my category manager, is really critical. If my penetration decreases, what can be the reasons why it decreased? I don't have the right products. They can't find the product. I don't have the right prices. And I don't have enough promotion. So they're not attracted to do that. Or, of course, I forgot the availability, right? When I said the product is not here, is either it is not in the distribution scheme, or I didn't source it, or it was there, or, excuse me, it was, yeah, it happens, you know. It was there, but there's no more stock. So if I don't give that information to my Catman people, they will not know really what they must do in order to increase the basket. If the number of units per basket decrease, which can also be a reason why my business is not as healthy or as optimized as I wish. Well, the same thing, I need to tell them, guys, the number of units per basket is decreasing. Do we have the right pack size? Do we have the right flavors? Do we have enough quantity? Do we have the right prices? Do we have the right displays? Do we have the right promotions? And here again, whether I want to increase the penetration of my shoppers inside my category, or I want to increase the quantity of purchase, the type of products, the type of promotion that I'm going to select is not the same, right? Is really not the same. So here, this is where CRM is going to help me make sure that I have, again, the right product to the right place. When you elevate this to the category and you bring it to the store level, all the stores are not the same. Some stores will have a catchment area. We were talking about it earlier, where customers have needs like ABC. Another catchment area, customers will have the same common needs, right? But their specificity will be ABC. So when I look about my traffic challenges, if I summarize it, most of the time, there will be 4 main reasons. Shoppers can't find the product they want. The price increase or the price image is a challenge. My promotions are not attractive. Or maybe I need to think about relocating my shelf. So here we put a certain number of things you can do. Only the CRM will enable you to look at this and understand who are the customers who are concerned with this. So here, the third beneficiary of CRM is the category management team. Now, don't get me wrong, we don't want to have all the category managers being fed on all the CRM insights all of the time. But across the table here, we have, or all retailers, you have always 20% or 15% of your categories that represent 60% of your business. So for the top categories that are the magnet of your business, whatever the role, they can be destination, they can be volume, they can be seasonal, they can be a convenience, but this needs to be integrated into the analysis. I open a parenthesis. We work with a certain number of manufacturers. Manufacturers are really building, increasingly building, to be more honest, their activity plan with you guys based on the shopper insights. The understanding of, am I in a traffic challenge or am I in a spending challenge, is going to drive them, to drive their decisions about the type of promotions that they want to propose you. So coming back to collaboration, the collaboration perspective, it's important that the retailers also understand that. And here you will see that there are two things, right? As retailer, you want to put like an alert system, or you want to really focus on, is you want to make sure you always are aware about the categories where the spending is decreasing. If those categories are among your top 20, alert, action plan, we go deep. It's not, okay, maybe you can wait. And the second thing that you really want to measure for the top categories is the number of customers who drop out of those categories, because they are your milk cow, right? So this one, not too difficult to do, and that should be part of the checkpoints CRM provides to merchandising on a regular level. What are some of the routines you guys want to set up? As you have seen, we have seen that CRM is useful for operations, is useful for the Catman team, and is useful for the marketing team. So here we're just sharing some ideas about what you could, what the CRM team can provide on a regular basis. To operation, it's housewife basket, the items with the highest level of penetration, because those items, which might vary by region, which might vary by store, which might vary by store format, those items are the one that you can find the most frequently in your shopper's basket. So it means that availability is a priority. More facing is important to facilitate the purchase. Price must be absolutely competitive, and it must be promoted maybe more often than not. And then if your stores, and it's not if, as you know, loyalty is not only the fact of having a card, it's the fact of being a little bit privileged shopper. So it means that everyone involved in customer service, from the people in the store, of course, the cashier line, the managers, the counter service, we need to make sure that they play a role in helping us keep our clients and recruit new clients. So it's important that the stores and sometimes even recruit the clients, right? Like, yeah, very classical case, we open a new region, we open a new area, maybe we want to distribute some loyalty things, some loyalty membership before we open. The store is going to have a very, very important role. We're talking about for agents if we are in another type of business model. So measuring the share of sales of loyal shopper per point of sales is critical. And remember, the thing that you know already, I think for most of you around the table, is that the average basket of a loyal shopper is almost 2 times the basket of a non-loyal shopper. So monitoring this share of sales is very important. For the categories, we're going to talk about the basket value, the number of items, penetration, as we were saying, promotion intensity, market drop we were talking about. And this is an information that can be provided on a click on a button, I don't know, every week, every 2 weeks, every month, as you mentioned it, but there must be a regular flow of information, because when those guys receive this, they are going to go through a standard checklist, missing products, availability, distribution, promotion, pricing, sponsored activities, campaigns, and of course, marketing, churn rates, first order, new member, IFM. So there is really this set of routines which include A, distribution of insights, B, corresponding action that can be set progressively, little by little. No need to do it once because it doesn't help, but we can plan a rollout phases where we say, well, let's give you this. Now, what I'm expecting as a feedback is a suggestion of action. So we can phase it across different trimesters, and then progressively you will see that the organization is going to shift very much towards the category and prepare a real focus-centered approach. One thing that is also interesting to set up and to consider is to set up a customer meeting. So you can imagine, I don't know, quarterly meeting or whatever frequency you see fit, where we mix those 3 critical business units: the marketing, the merchandise, the operations. What's the goal of this meeting? This meeting is to make sure we are all aware about the behavior and the patterns that are happening in our stores. We can correct the challenges we have. We can identify opportunities. And we are going to set up a set of action plans and activities to correct the problem and to try pilot the capture of these opportunities. So ideally, the thing is to take a certain number of standard metrics and to agree about what are the decisions we want to take out of this meeting. Because if we don't, we're going to talk, and nothing's going to be really happening. I have a question. With the rising restrictions as to personal data, good question. So the question is, first of all, the data privacy is becoming an important concern. Yes. So it's not a restriction, right? It's a law that protects you, me, and our families. And so the thing is, it means that this evolution of data privacy means that for the marketing team, in the recruitment process and the management of existing customers, the consent management needs to have a strategy. And who means strategy means, in general, investment. And it means that for the CRM team or the marketing team, if the marketing team manages the CRM, there is a new cost variable that must be integrated. It's the customer acquisition cost. How much does it cost us to attract a customer, to have his consent, and then to have additional data sets? What other means do we have? I am not sure about this, but if you think about targeting an offer to an individual, which is different from targeting an offer to a type of audience on Facebook, for example, or Insta or TikTok, as far as I know, a targeted offer to an individual require consent. And I have another question here, which is for typical supermarket, what is the ideal percent of loyal customers? It's a very good question. I'm going to benchmark two things because I can tell you what is the average rate that we have in the customers we're working with. It varies between 45 and 65%. I'm not sure if there is an ideal number. I would say I would rather take it a little bit differently, and I would say if I think about a target for my loyal shoppers, I would give them three targets. The first one is the basket value. The second one is the margin contribution, because ideally, my loyal shoppers are the people who are bringing the most profit to the company. And the third is a churn rate. And I would, if I was the CEO of a retail company or the marketing director, sorry, I would put the churn rate as an objective to the marketing team, because they have a budget, they have resources, and I would say, well, this is your job. And as a coordinator and facilitator with supply chain operations and the merchandise team, to limit or to reduce the churn rate. In a way, if I may be a little bit blunt, is the same thing as giving an objective of reducing waste or breakage to store operations or to the warehouse, because this is too important and too expensive. We have this customer in Tunisia. His current share of sales is 25%. So I do not know the benchmark of Tunisia, but maybe it's very good. So since we don't really know if there is a perfect thing, let's give objectives that we can really control and that really create value for the company. Basket value, margin contribution, and churn rate. That what I would recommend. I go very quickly. Actually, we have already over the time. We have another question here. Where does customer care, customer feedback, issue resolution fit in all this? Excellent question. It fits in marketing. It fits in marketing because then we are talking about another, actually an additional dimension, which I would put more at the CDP level, the customer data platform level. In my opinion, that is really the role of marketing, to associate and link those feedback, which we have direct, which we can have either from people complaining through the service line, or people complaining to the customer service if I'm in a physical store, with the learning that I can see from the merchandise. So marketing will have to link both of them, right? And I don't know, from a tech perspective, there might be solutions that link both, but I think it's not easy. At the end, you're right. If we think about a NPS, we would say that the NPS would integrate a certain number of variables. So some of them are concerning the price, some of them concerning the choice, some of them are concerning the availability, and some of them will also consider other things. My belief is that, coming back to the customer meeting that we were suggesting, it would be a great idea to integrate the comments of the customer care, because that would be able to create a certain number of linkage between what we hear and what the number tell us, right? For the sake of time, I just want to very quickly go to the persona, because here we're talking about how the as an overview, we're saying how the CRM can really help us improve the promotion effectiveness. We know what the customer buys, so it means we can select easier products. And because we track every single of their transactions and response to the stimuli we're giving them, it means that for the category managers or the people who are in charge of building the promotion, they can have an excellent, direct, sometimes blunt feedback about what are the performances of the products they propose. And normally your CRM tool should be able, when you select a type of customer segment, to tell you, well, this is what the guys enjoy buying. So it doesn't mean that I'm always going to propose them the top item, but from the category selection, meaning variety, to the product selection, meaning the choice, to the type of mechanics, I'm able to maybe target less people in one shot, but to increase the conversion rate, spend less money, and therefore have a bigger ROI. The thing we just want to talk about very quickly is the fundamentals, and this persona, these fundamentals are coming back to the segmentation thing, because yes, we're hearing a lot of personalization, how to use it. And if we think about personalizing offers, one of the dilemma would be, but actually, who builds the commercial offer? Is it the marketing because they have access to the CRM insights? Or is it the category manager because they know what is happening on the market? Or maybe the marketing as well, or category because they have access to Nielsen, Kantar, and all this type of insights. So here, the only thing we want to say is we say, well, whatever the persona, think about automation, because that's really going to be a huge saving of time. If I know that this persona are very much keen on fishing, so every time there is a new fishing items, I can send them an information thing. If there is a promotion on fishing, I can propose them an engagement thing. If there are some reflection which are done about how to improve our fishing range, I can call them and my customer care or organize a panel. The second thing is to say, coming back to this key question about who does what. Is the marketing driving the commercial offer, or is the category management driving the commercial offer? My answer is it should be both. It should be both, and this customer meeting is, again, something very important there, because if we don't do that, it means we keep on having different set of directions. We even have different set of KPI. So does it mean that, for example, it would be provocative to say, I want the category manager's performance, in their performance, I want them to have 1 or 2 KPI that are linked to CRM, even though they don't manage it. Yes, for me, it makes sense, because they maybe do not manage CRM, but they do take the decisions that answer the CRM team needs. Reverse the same thing. Does it mean that I should involve this? I should index the performances of the CRM team or build their performance KPI on certain margin or basket value thing? In my opinion, yes. Because even though they are not the one that are selecting the products, that are negotiating with the suppliers, they are the one that give the directions. Do we have at Hypertrade a specific standard of cross-business unit KPI? No, we don't. But we are super happy to engage in discussions and look at what would be the pros and cons, because every organization is different. But if we really think about moving our company across a more collaborative, more agile, and little by little shopper focus, it does make sense to have similar KPI across all business units. Last but not least is the kind of dashboards that you want to use at the executive committee to pilot your loyal team. So here we're proposing some examples. And the idea is to maybe ask ourselves first, what do they want to know? And in our opinion, the executive committee, what they want to know is the churn, the share of sales, the margin, the number of active shoppers, and the basket value. So we need to give them that. For the marketing, they will want to look at traffic. They will want to look at the churn in general. They will want to look at recruitment campaign efficiency and marketing campaign efficiency. Categories, they will want to look at their campaigns efficiencies, because this is really important. They want to know about the categories penetration. They want to know about their basket value, and they want to know about the number of item per basket. And remember, we really do have different formats, so that's very important. And the operations, they will want to know about the loyal share of sales, and important, their performance on the housewife basket. Because if we said here, sir, Mr. Store Manager, Store X, these are the 150 items which are part of your housewife basket, and I want to make sure that the sales of those housewife basket are A, permanently performing, and since B, every store has its own housewife basket, I would, if I was in operation, suggest to have a systematic benchmark of the percent of sales of housewife basket across stores, not the value, because traffic is different and catchment area are different. So here, and a lot of you guys are using our tools, right? So this is in that spirit, we have developed this type of dashboards, which can actually be used directly during the XCOM, because there's no need to present them. The wrap up, CRM and segmentation are critical to ROI. We want to invest the money only where the money is. CRM is going to help us identify all the upsell possible, again, to the most profitable clients. Churn management should be a key focus. Remember, we all know that acquiring a new customer is 10 times more expensive than keeping one. CRM is really part of the customer experience, from the way my products are displayed to the store, to, as Cathy was saying, how do I integrate my loyal shoppers concern at the customer care, to what does my loyalty points, my loyalty service, and the specific promotion and offer that I receive. And the more we are increasing the share of sales of our loyal customers to our business, the more we really need to think and define precisely what is the CX we want to offer to our loyal shoppers. CRM is a key element to identify what are the weaknesses in our categories and range. CRM can be a great tool to automate, so therefore increase efficiencies across the company. CRM is and must be used for all the marketing tactics, because agility means I'm able to spot quickly, is it a traffic issue? Is it a spending issue? And it should be used as the base of the tactics we do, not only on our own. It means as a retailer, I decide to invest 3% of my margin to bring the people back to the fruit and vegetables, but also in the collaborative approaches with my suppliers, saying, guys, we are facing this challenge in this category. What can we do together to solve this? To personalize engagement and to improve promotion effectiveness. I have one more question here. How often should we review range assortment view in a year? I think it's a very good question. I think the first thing is to classify my categories. It means in my categories, let's say I have a simple categorization. I have my gold categories. They represent 50% of my business. I have my silver categories. They represent the next 30% of my business. And I have my brass categories, which represent 20% of my business. My gold categories, I need to review them fully, and I'm going to explain what I mean by fully. I think at least twice a year. Once a quarter, my bad, once a quarter. My silver, twice a year. My brass, once every 2 years. Now, when I say review fully, it means assortment, distribution, promotion, and pricing. Now, I'd like to make a little focus on assortment only. My assortment actually is for my top categories, only the assortment is reviewed every month. Because assortment is a living animal, right? I can't say, well, I did the assortment for this, because assortment lives. There is in, there is outs, there's this and that. So I still need to make sure that even though I do not do an in-depth assortment analysis like I will do during my quarterly review, at the end of each month, I'm still checking that how's my cash flow? How's my profitability? How is my number of SKUs by format? How is my distribution? That should be part of my necessary health checkpoints. So I hope it answers the question here. We will, do you have guys any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you very much. I think it was a lot of information in a short time, and I went over the time that we planned. So thank you very much for being there. We are going to send you the deck of that presentation, I think early next week. And in the meantime, if you do have questions, please really do feel free to ask. We'll be very happy to address. And last thing but not least, I don't know if you guys noticed, but when you do have questions, there is the, how do I go out of this? Okay. You have the possibility in our website at Hypertrade to visit a new site called, I'm going to go there, called HPTpedia, which is free of charge. So maybe from time to time you might find, am I sharing the right screen or not? I have to change my, I have to share again, so that just give me a sec. Okay. Oh, I stop here and I'm going to share it super quickly. Okay, when you go to the website, don't hesitate to visit the HPTpedia part. This is kind of a little encyclopedia with, for example, you have definitions. You also have a certain part of methodology. You just need to type what you are looking for on this search window. And sometimes you will have insights about, okay, what are some of the ideas about what can we do here? What can we do there? This is the early stages. I'm sure a lot of things are missing. And if you can give us feedback and say, well, can you write an article on this? Can you write an article on that? Then that's going to really help us make this kind of free online library and university useful. Thank you once again for being there with us today. And I hope it was useful. It was great for me and the team to share with you. Thank you very much.